Hello Art 1 students, and welcome to day 2 of Perspective. Just a quick review. Yesterday we were doing cubes in perspective and we shaded them using a light source. We drew 2 of them together and then I asked you to draw 3 on your own. We made sure that we had 5 boxes that were accurately drawn in perspective, meaning that we started off with a square, we took them all back to the vanishing point, and then we also added a light source, and then we shaded based on that light source. So this was yesterday's activity, and then today we're going to go and actually start applying these cubes into perspective and actually turning them into buildings. So if you will, be sure that you have a piece of paper. Be sure that you have a straight edge. Most of you are using rulers. This is just a squared ruler. And then be sure that you have a pencil with a good eraser, okay? So we're going to start off just like we did yesterday. Now you can turn your paper either way. That's a common question most people ask. Do I need to turn my paper horizontally or can I keep it vertically? And my answer to that is you can do it either way. Just be prepared for some challenges if you turn it vertical like I have, but you can most definitely turn it horizontal if you wish. I'm actually going to go horizontal, and I'm just going to move my paper back and forth so you can kind of see it. But what you want to do first and foremost is put a vanishing point on there. Remember that your vanishing point is just where your point of view is. So it can be raised up, it can be lowered down, it can be smack dab in the center. I'm going to raise it up today for the purpose of this demonstration just a little bit. And remember that is what we call our vanishing point. I'm going to come in and line my straight edge up with the side and draw a straight line. It doesn't have to be very hard, forceful, because you're not trying to engrave anything into the paper. You're just trying to get the image of a horizontal line there, okay? And that is also what we call our horizon line. Remember when we learned and we talked about the elements of art, the horizon line was where the sky meets the land, and that's going to be true in this as well. What I want you to do is go ahead and take a line out from this vanishing point right here. I don't want you to bring it straight down like this. I want you to kind of, angle it out a little bit. And the more you angle it, the wider your road is going to be. So this is just going to be the start of your road. And you're going to take a line out from that vanishing point. Don't go all the way down with it. Just kind of bring it out just like that. Then line your ruler up with the side of the paper. And take it straight across. Okay, so we just took a line out from our vanishing point, just angled it out some. Everybody's is going to look a little different. That's what makes them unique. And then we're taking that line straight across. Okay, now what you might want to do now, just go ahead and kind of get it done, is take this line that went back to the vanishing point that we stopped, just extend it just a little bit, and you're going to see why in just a second. And then take this line that you went across with and extend it a little bit, and you're going to see why in just a second. Okay. Right now, for the exercise that we're doing today, just kind of getting in there and getting used to one-point perspective, it's okay that your lines completely don't meet. But keep in mind that tomorrow when we start actually doing this step by step, we want to make sure that it looks nice. And we want to make sure that it looks clean. So today, this is fine. But tomorrow, we're going to start actually getting in there and making sure it's nice, crisp, and clean like an architect would do. So we're going to take out another line right here, which is actually going to become your sidewalk. You don't know it yet, but it will. So take your straight edge, line it up with your vanishing point, and just angle it out just a little bit further than what you had it the first time. And bring it down just a tad. Some of y'all might start seeing this kind of popping up. And then you're going to take a straight line, just like you had over here, angle it out just a little bit, and take it across. The sidewalk always is a little tricky for some people to get. Then you'll notice that you have a little extra right here. You have a little extra right here and right here. You can come in and erase those out. And you have the start of a sidewalk. If you'll also notice, this also looks like a square drawn in perspective like we started off with yesterday. So we're going to kind of follow those same rules from yesterday. And just this line that goes straight across, just like yesterday, we're going to follow those lines straight across all the way back. And that's going to create what looks to be like when they pour cement and they create sidewalks. That's going to be what we're creating right here. It's just the lines in the sidewalk. Now, if you're following the true rule of perspective, then the further you get back, the closer things appear and the smaller they appear. So you can get closer as you go back here if you want to. And we're just going to make them all the way back. Just be sure that this straight edge is constantly lining up with the edge of the paper, because what you don't want is your lines to start turning because you're not lining your straight edge up. So be sure that it's nice and square and it's giving you a straight line, okay? Now, our sidewalk lines that go this way, obviously they're not going to go straight across. We need to look and see what this line right here did. That went straight back to the vanishing point. This one right here went straight back to vanishing point. So it's only going to make sense for the rest of these to go back straight to vanishing point. So what you want to do is make sure that your ruler lines right up here with your vanishing point, and you just choose where your next piece is. Alright, be sure that this is not what you do. Do not just move your ruler straight edge and keep making lines like this. Because if you'll notice, my straight edge right here, any line that goes back has to meet up with what? Your vanishing point. And this right here is not lined up with my vanishing point. So therefore you need to be sure that you're kind of swiveling this straight edge out. You're making sure that it stays on that vanishing point. Making sure that it stays on that vanishing point. And you're just turning it out each time. So this is the start of your sidewalk. All you really need to do now is just to go in and shade it, which we'll show you in a little bit. But what we're going to start off with is our first building. What you're going to do is right here at this point, you're going to take a straight line. Be sure you line your straight edge or your ruler up with the bottom of your paper so that you know that you're indeed going straight up and not crooked. Always look at your ruler. If it looks crooked, it probably is. So be sure that it's going straight up and down with your piece of paper. I want you to take just a line up and go on top and above that vanishing point, and that horizon line right there. And it's going to kind of look like a flagpole. Ta-da! Alright, so then what I want you to do is I want you to create what I call a cereal box. So I brought this line straight up. I'm going to bring it across. No right or wrong way of how far to bring it across. How far you bring it across is going to be how wide your building is. So this is going to what you're going to have appear on your piece of paper. Once again, line your piece of your ruler up with the bottom of your piece of paper to make sure that you have a straight line. Straight lines are of the most importance with 1 point perspective because you want to make sure everything is straight. So this is what I call a cereal box because it just looks like the side of a cereal box sitting there when you're eating a bowl of cereal. Okay, it's just kind of sticking up in the air. We don't really know what it is. It's not really going to go anywhere, but we're fixing to turn it into a building. So watch magic happen. Alright, so we're going to take this corner just like we would with a square, and we're going to take it back to the vanishing point. This is going to be how far back your building goes. So top of the building, back. You can take it back however far you want to. What you don't want to do is take it all the way back to the vanishing point because you're going to want a little bit of room for more buildings. So we have the line back to the vanishing point, and then we're going to take it. If you'll notice, this line goes straight down. We're going to take it and close it up, and we're going to go straight down to our sidewalk. Stop right there at the sidewalk. And then you can erase that horizon line that's in there. And voila, you have your first building that is drawn in perspective. Now at this point, if you don't have what I have and it doesn't look somewhat what mine looks like, then please feel free to pause it and go back. And please, please, please be sure that you have this first step because this is imperative for you to be able to go and move forward. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to build some more buildings over here on this side just to make it visually interesting. What we're always going to do is start off with our flagpole and then try to turn it into a cereal box. And I know that these things sound silly, but it also always reminds you of how to create these buildings. So maybe I want a building that's overlapping a little bit. And I'm going to put it pretty much in the center of this building. It can be over here to the side a little bit. But once again, be sure that your ruler is lined up with the bottom of your sheet of paper so that you can get a straight line. Take your little flagpole up. Then we're going to take it across to create a cereal box. And I'm not taking it this way because if I were to take it this way, it would need to go back to my vanishing point. So I'm taking it over here to the corner. I'm going to bring it down. Make sure that your straight edge is aligned with something to make sure that your line is not crooked. If it's like this and it looks crooked, it's going to be crooked. So don't put a line there that looks crooked, okay? So here's my cereal box, and remember from this one right here, what we do for that cereal box is we take this corner back to the vanishing. You don't have to take it all the way because like I said, that's going to depend and that's going to make your building how wide it's actually going to be. So I'm just going to take it back to right about there. And if you have something that looks like this, you are on track. So we're going to close this building up, and if you look at this, how we close this one up, it's straight down. This one is straight down, so this one's going to be straight down too. The rules of perspective always lie in front of you. Most of the time, you're going to have a line somewhere on this piece of paper that tells you what to do. So you have two buildings. They look fantastic. We're going to put a little bit of space right here. I'm going to erase this horizon line a little bit so that I have a little bit of space. We're going to put just another building. So what do we start off with? It's a flagpole. So we're going to take our flagpole up. I'm going to go a little bit higher than these two buildings so that I have a little bit of variety there. And say I want this building to go off the page, I simply would just bring this off right here. If I didn't want it to go off the page, I could bring it straight down. If I wanted it to go off the page, I'd just bring it straight across, and then that way we wouldn't see the entire building. I'm going to bring this one straight down. Like I said, once we get to a certain point, we don't need that horizon line in the center. Okay? So right now it's just a cereal box. Now we know anytime we take something back, we're going to pull it to this vanishing point. So we're going to take the top of this building, just like we would take the top of our square, and pull it back to the vanishing point. So line it up, take it back. Now if you want it to overlap and run into that building, it would just stop right there. Voila. So now you have three buildings that are overlapped. I could always come in right here and do another building. And just for the sake of this demonstration, I'm going to do that. I'm going to bring a flagpole up. I'm going to start my cereal box, but I run into another building. That's okay. And then I'm going to take the top of this corner right here back to the vanishing. Once you get this process, you'll move rather quickly with it, okay? And then there's my last building. So on the other side of your paper, I want you to try to do the same thing. I want you to try to do a sidewalk. I want you to try to do the buildings. I'm going to go through it rather quickly, not spending too much time telling you the exact steps. Keep in mind that on the other side, it doesn't necessarily always have to equal this side. There are very few cities and towns that have the exact same thing on one side of the street that have on the other. So you don't necessarily have to be exactly the same. And like I said, you're free to pause this video at any point in time and go back and watch it if you need some clarity. I'm just going through the process so that you can get your buildings. Your buildings probably will not match mine. And you know what? That's probably a good thing because then that way we have a little bit of variety. This line goes straight across. Now I can line it up with these lines I have over here, but you don't have to. You can create something a little different on this side. It's always good to do a little something different than what's already been done. And like I said, I'm not going to go through much direction on this side because I'm lining up with my vanishing point and I'm fanning out because I've gone through step-by-step directions on the other side. I'm just trying to get you some buildings over here. Alright, once again I come up with my flagpole. The buildings, like I said, do not have to match. Be sure you're lining your straight edge up with something. The bottom of your table actually has this little lip. That's probably really good for that. Bring it this way to create your little cereal box. I'll make kind of a little wide building here. You can get really creative with these buildings about how wide and how tall they are. And that, like I said, just comes through in your personality, and that's why everybody's is going to look a little bit differently. You always need to kind of somewhat take the horizon line outside of your building. You can leave it until after you finish windows. That's fine. I'm going to come in here and do another little flagpole. I'm going to go up a little bit higher. And I'm going to go off the paper with this one. But I'm going to take the top of this building right here back to my vanishing point to make it look like they overlap a little bit. I don't want to take it all the way down, so I'm just going to take it to right there and then take it straight down. So now I have buildings on either side, which is great. And now we need to start trying to put a little decoration in there, okay? Obviously, you just would not have buildings without anything else going on those. So we're going to need to add some doors and some windows. When we start reviewing your rubric expectations for this, you'll notice that you have to have every building is going to have a door and every building is going to have a window, and you need to truly represent that. So that's why this project does take a while to complete. That's why you have a good amount of time to complete it. That's also why you have instructional videos, but that's also why this counts as 2 test grades. It does cover a multitude of our elements of art as well as our standards. So we're going to start getting into the little fine details, and that's where y'all's creativity really comes through, because everybody's windows are going to be different. Everybody's doors are going to be different, but let's say I want a door on the face of this building right here. Okay, I'm just simply going to come in, and if you'll look at the side of the building right here, it's straight up, so my door is going to be straight up and down. If you look at the top of this building that I'm drawing on right now, the top is straight across. So the top of my door is going to go straight across. And then I might want to put a little handle, just showing that that's a little door. Okay. Just like the door, the windows, if you look at the top of the building, are straight across. So guess what my windows are going to be? They're going to be straight across. So you can come in here. Right now today, I wouldn't even measure out. I would just get used to drawing some windows. So I'm going to draw some windows. This takes a little bit of time, so I don't recommend you pressing down really hard because you might have to erase some. And like I said, you're just doing this for fun today, so you don't have to really sit there and measure them out. What you do want to make sure, though, is that they line up with the edge. They're somewhat level. Okay? So that's going to be a window right there, a window right there, there, and there. I'm going to close them up over here, over here, over here, and over here. Come through and erase it a little bit, clean those edges up. But you always look at the top of the building to find out what the tops of the windows and the doors are going to do, okay? And you can take those on up. The difference is when it goes back, the side of the building goes back to the vanishing point. That's when it gets a little tricky. And all you have to do is remember to look at the top of the building that you're drawing on, which this right here, I'm drawing on this top of the building. And that's going to tell you exactly what to do with the top of your doors and your windows. So say I wanted to create another door on this side. If you look right here, this is a straight line up. I'm going to draw another straight line up. Here is another straight line, so the side of my door is going to be straight up and down. The sides of your doors and windows are always straight up and down. But you'll notice the top of my doors and windows should be going back to vanishing point. Ta-da! So that means the tops of these windows and doors will need to go back to vanishing point. So if I want to make the top of these doors, I line it up with the vanishing point, and I draw directly back. Okay, same thing if I wanted to create some windows here on this building. The top of my building goes back to vanishing, so that means the tops of my windows are going to go back to vanishing. So I'm going to create a little bit of different windows here. Continue to kind of fan it down off of your vanishing point. If you continue to do this, you're not connected to the vanishing point, so it's not going to give you the illusion that it's going back into space. Okay, now if you look at the sides of my buildings, they go straight up and down. That's never going to change, you guys. Sides of windows and doors are always going to go straight up and down. So just create your windows straight up and down. A lot of times you will have to come in and clean up, but keep in mind you're going to have to shade these buildings to represent color. Nobody actually uses color on these black and white renderings. So you're going to actually come through and shade it, which I'm going to show you in just a second. So you have windows. They're not perfect, but today's not about being perfect. Today is just about trying to get in there and figure some things out. So if we want to sit here and shade this building, it's very simple. You're just going to come in here, say I want this one to look different. You'll come in here and shade in between all the windows. And I'm trying to shade really quickly for the essence of time, but this also gives you an opportunity to catch up with me. That's the end of my building, so I'm going to come through and this would represent maybe a dark concrete building. I'm going to come down here to my sidewalk. Now remember also, at any point, if you're trying to do the other side, you can go back to this part of the video and it'll be exactly the same. But you want your buildings to stand out from each other, as we're going to look at some different examples. And this will be an easy way of how to do that. So like I said, you have a little bit more time to shade than I do. I'm trying to just quickly come through here, so I hope your shading will look better than mine. I'm just, like I said, quickly trying to come through here to give you what looks to be the expectation of that building. Now keep in mind, if this building is shaded here, then it's most likely shaded on this side too. So you can go ahead and come through here and fill in this other side as well. Because like I said, if it's shaded on one side, if it's that color, then it's most likely going to be that same color on this other side. So you'll come in here, you'll finish filling this in. It does take a good amount of lead, so be prepared for that. But when you turn this in today, I want to see that you at least you tried 3 different shades of buildings here, just to give you a little bit of variation within your buildings. There will be a separate tutorial video of how to draw bricks, because if you want the higher level of the rubric expectations, bricks and siding is one of them, along with signs. That'll be a separate tutorial. So we're almost finished with the building here. And now you can see how that building now entirely stands out different from the others. And that's what you want it. You want them all to have a separate appearance. Now, of course, you can come over here and you can draw a door. Remember, sides are always the same. They're straight up and down. Take it all the way down there to the sidewalk. And then, obviously, this top of the building goes back to vanishing. So the top of your door will go back to vanishing. And they'll always, if they're going back to vanishing, they'll look slightly turned. You know, just very subtly kind of slanted. And that's how they're supposed to look, because they're trying to give you the impression that it's actually going back on a 2-dimensional surface. So it is going to look a little bit different. What I want you to do is start practicing. I want you to have 3 different shades of buildings. I want you to be sure that you have sidewalks on either side. So your paper needs to look like this when you go to turn it in, but I want a dark building over here. I want a medium building over here. And I want a light. And over here I want a dark. And I want a medium. And I want a light. But more importantly, I want to see that you're practicing the different sizes of doors and the different sizes of windows. Like I said, today we don't have to measure them out. We don't have to make them perfect. I'm just making sure that you understand the concept of how to put windows and doors on here. That's the major important thing to kind of learn today. Like I said, the tutorial videos will come and they will be in separate areas of how to add a sign, how to add lights, traffic lights, how to add shading to your sidewalk, things like that. Those will come in different tutorial videos, but today really and truly is just about having 3 shades of buildings over here with windows and doors, and 3 shades of buildings over here with windows and doors. And that's really and truly what I'm going to be looking for when you turn this in. At any point in time, like I said, if you need to review this, please go back in this video and come back to this area and always follow those rules of perspective. If the top of the building does it, then everything within that side of the building is going to have to do it. And at this point, if you have a little bit of free time, please feel free to check out some of those extra tutorial videos if they're available. If not, then please feel free. This is about a 24-minute video to go back anywhere that you need it. But all of these buildings need to have windows and doors, and then you need to have the 3 shades before you turn in today. Okay? So good luck. Perspective is a great thing. It's a great tool to have at your disposal, and I can't wait to see the products that you'll have.